players, friends, they're all telling me to soak it up. They're all telling me to take a lot of pictures and videos because at some point this passes and we move into the future, and you want to enjoy this as much as you can. So I'm taking them up on it, and it does represent a lot of hard work and a lot of people from years of being in this organization, much before me, but it was an experience I wanted to enjoy.
Can you talk about what it's like to not only have won the World Series, but the way you did it? You beat three of the most storied franchises to get there. I mean, how do you make gratitude for it?
You want that one? You want me to? Go ahead. For me, it doesn't matter who you play, where you play, how many games you played. We played almost the most games you can play in a postseason to win the World Series. We didn't have to play the wild card game because we won the division. We didn't have to play Game 5 against Boston because we won in 4. But 2 Game 7s, really 3 Game 7s if you count Game 6 in the championship series, which was an elimination game. How we did it is a great story after the fact. I think when you're going through it, you just want to win every game and do the best you can. But going through some pretty hefty franchises that have more than one trophy that we're carrying around today will be memorable as we move forward. We hope to build on our trophy case. Obviously this is the first in franchise history, and we knocked off some people that have enjoyed this moment that we're enjoying now over the last 100 years. But it doesn't matter how you do it.
Jeff, it sounded like Correa told a couple reporters after the game that he was playing with an injured thumb. Since the ALCS, it sounded like, how bad was his thumb?
Not enough to not play. I think what I realized more so this year than ever watching our players that they were really at the end of their gas tank. I mean, this is a lot of baseball. We're played into November. There wasn't a single guy that felt good, including the coaching staff. And we're all beat up at the end of this run because of the emotional roller coaster you go through, the physical grind that happens. To a man, these guys, played through a lot of different things. During the year, yes. In the postseason, I mean, you would have to rip these dudes off the field for them not to be able to play. So, yes, we had players dealing with certain things. None of it was to the point where we feared that they weren't going to be able to play, and I love how our guys posted at the end.
On that note, I really have to give a lot of credit to our training staff, our strength and conditioning coaches, and our doctors. They were a key part of this victory. They're the guys that don't get talked about, but they kept everybody healthy. I will tell you that we had 7 or 8 guys that were operating on fumes towards the end. Obviously, they got up every day and they made sure that they were 100% effort, but our training staff did a tremendous job. You had a question back there?
Just a victory for the people of Houston. You have a lot of team members from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who've been paying so much attention to this. If there's a message for the people in New Mexico, what would that be?
Well, I mean, if you're part of our Astro Nation, so to speak, we love all the support. I mean, if you go through our team, and I assume this is reference to Alex Bregman, he's had a terrific, entrance into the big leagues. Each one of these players have a history somewhere, and some are in this country, some are out of this country, and it took so much support for these guys to be their best on the biggest stage. So to New Mexico, to Puerto Rico, to the West Coast, the East Coast, Venezuela, Dominican, we're represented on so many levels and so many places. This championship is for you. This is. And it goes back, and again, I'll just keep rambling on. It goes back to like the Jeff Bagwells and Lance Berkman and Craig Biggio and Enos Cabell, tearing up at the thought of us being world champions. And I think that's what starts to resonate with players, is how many people in their own story that represented them and supported them, and then obviously Astro alumni that are literally celebrating with us, from around the world.
On that note, you, my friend, represent Mexico in a sense. Después de que llegas y tuviste esas temporadas de 100 derrotas consecutivas, hubo un momento, ese es tu momento cúspide, un momento que se culmina ese esfuerzo, pero hubo un momento en que como ser humano dudaste de esta situación. For my English-speaking guys, in this tenure that he's been here, for the losing seasons, 100+ losing seasons, there was there any moment where you doubted your project, doubted yourself that this was going to work?
In English, no. I didn't doubt that we were going to turn this organization into a winning organization. Now, you can never guarantee yourself a championship. We played 3 historic, excellent teams, and we were fortunate to come out on top. It could have gone the other way. But when you put your organization in a spot where you can have a shot at it, a couple years in a row, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, you got a good chance to do it, and that's all you can really hope for. Nunca dudé que íbamos a tener un equipo capaz de ganar un campeonato, pero mucho tiene que ocurrir durante esos campeonatos, durante esas competiciones para llegar a este punto. Tuvimos suerte, tuvimos energía, tenemos peloteros excelentes, pero los otros equipos también los tienen, pero el plan de nosotros siempre fue a construir un equipo capaz de llegar a este punto y tomar varios chances a un campeonato.
AJ, you guys are savoring the moment, but is it too early to talk about 2018 or how much of the team will be intact?
Yes, it is too early.
After the parade.
I barely slept, let alone thought about 2018.
If invited, will you take your team to Trump's White House as customary for the pro teams?
Yeah, I knew that question was coming. And I'm not going to go on too long of a comment on this, but we just won the first World Championship in Houston Astros history, and we also are in one of the most divided countries, polarizing countries in politics. I don't know that this is the best stage for everybody to declare one way or the other and try to kind of comment on the moment and be too much of a political statement. I believe in celebrating these championships. I believe that our organization should bask in the glory of what this work has done from years that Jeff has been here through me and in our long history. What comes out of this moving forward on the political side, or what we do or don't do, or what sports has turned into representing the kind of the country's tone, will have to be decided in time. We're not going to allow anything to polarize this moment that we want to celebrate with our fans.
Just quickly, you talked about the physical exhaustion towards the end. What played into it? I mean, there had to be a mental component, and I also think the camaraderie amongst the players. What were those extra pieces that you think pushed you through at those last games?
We have to remember, we started early because of the World Baseball Classic, so these guys have been going for almost 9 months, and it is exhausting even in spring training and then every day during the season. I think one of the things that AJ did a really good job of this year was making sure that our regular players got rest. And we also had a couple of opportunities for our starters to get some rest, not by design because they were injured, but all of that led to guys being healthier and more energetic in September. I also gave a shout out to our medical staff. They were critical component of it. But I also think that when you have a chance to win, you do what you have to do. And these guys wanted to pick each other up. It was a team effort out there. Every member of that roster helped us get to this point, and that was a big part of it. They wanted to help each other out, and they all saw the goal.
Jeff, can you just talk about the fact that the players bought in, the fans bought into the approach, because it started and it was rocky and it was a long road. Just, have you thought about yet, like, okay, it worked, you had a plan, you obviously thought it would work, but actually getting here and that you had the time to build it the way you guys wanted to?
Well, not everybody bought in. We had to really convince people, and early in this process, as some of you in this room know, Jim and I met with season ticket holders to explain that we were going to be transparent, we were going to be honest with them, it was going to take some time, there was going to be some rough patches ahead, and of course there were. But I got to give our ownership a ton of credit, Jim Crane a ton of credit. He stuck with the plan, he trusted the people in baseball operations, he did a lot to support us. He said when the time came he would support us with resources. We did that. We had a great offseason last year. We went out and signed a bunch of free agents and made some trades, and then we had obviously a big acquisition this year by bringing in Justin Verlander. So ownership did a great job of supporting us. Our baseball operations staff, they don't get talked about enough, that we've got a tremendous group of executives and scouts and field staff helping our players develop. Correa was a great pick in the draft, so was Bregman. That's credit to our scouts. But they weren't ready for the big leagues when they got to our organization. We had a lot of coaches, a lot of people along the way that helped them be ready. And one of the things that our organization does well is when we promote players, when we promoted Springer, Correa, Bregman, McCullers, Musgrove, Davinsky, they're ready to compete at this level. And back in 2012, 2013, we were promoting a lot of players just to see if they were ready. We didn't know the answer, but as we became more comfortable with our staff and our process, we got lucky on a lot of these players because they were ready, but you put yourself in a position to be lucky by having good people in your organization.
Jeff and AJ, this time last year in 16, you guys didn't make the playoffs. I remember you sitting here and there was some frustration and hey, this is not good enough because you had the really good run of 15. How important do you think that feeling was to push you over the top, whether it was going after Beltran or Reddick, fixing some of your, filling some of your holes and really getting this organization to the next step?
Well, I only know it from the time that I came in 2015, but I want to share with you a story about Altuve. When I first sat with him in my office, we talked a lot about getting better. We talked a lot about the 100-loss season. We talked a lot about just the grind that had taken its toll. And I asked him one question. I said, why don't we talk about winning? And once we started talking about winning, I think from an organizational standpoint, it raised the bar. Then we won. And that made that 2016 feeling you're talking about horrible, because we had a winning season, nearly the same amount of wins that we had in 15, but we didn't get to celebrate. Going to 2017 with a new team and new goals, we had this little burn in us at the beginning of the season that never stopped, and to accomplish that goal raises the bar even higher. Like, we're going to talk about winning a lot now, and obviously as we get into the next season, and we'll have another session to talk about it, we're going to have to handle success equally as well, if not better, than we handled the failure when we first got into this. That for me is one of the most exciting challenges, but getting to this point, raising the bar in this organization, having it be a winning organization, not just on a win total, but on an accomplishment total, is pretty remarkable.
AJ, on a personal level for you, you're with these guys, 9 months of the season, just to see them celebrating, just to sit back. I don't know if you took a moment just to kind of see what was going on, but to see these guys have so much fun out there with a trophy, what was that like?
That's the best feeling. It's the best feeling in the world as a coach. I mean, the only thing I can relate it to is being a parent, when you see that your kids have success. And I'm not old enough to be these guys' dads, but I am proud enough to act like it. And to watch our guys, these are the biggest smiles, the best celebrations, the best hugs you can possibly imagine on a baseball field. It's thrilling. I mean, there's nothing like it to watch, George Springer go from having to talk about strikeouts in 2015 to getting moved in the order to the leadoff spot to being told at the World Series, you're not doing good enough after the first game. You struck out 4 times against Clayton Kershaw to win in the World Series MVP. I mean, that